There are people who choose to make a positive difference in the world. Our job is to bring you their stories to motivate you to do the same. Join us each week, host John Alexander and Naima Latif, as we bring you the educators, entertainers, elected officials, religious leaders, and community activists whose works are transforming this world. Find out how you can make a difference too. Be inspired. Watch The Media Connection. Thank you for joining us on The Media Connection. Wars abroad and financial hardship at home have caused unrest across America. The recent killing of Libyan leader Colonel Moammar Gadhafi raises even more questions. What will be the response from the world community? There are those who feared him, those who hated him, and those who loved him. Nation of Islam leader Minister Louis Farrakhan had a special relationship with Moammar Gadhafi. He discusses his reaction to the killing of Colonel Gaddafi in an in-depth interview with WVON talk show host Cliff Kelley. For the next few weeks, we'll bring you that interview. So now, let's join Cliff Kelley as he talks to Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Good afternoon. This is the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. I'm Cliff Kelley, streaming live at www.wvon.com. It's 4:37 and it's Tuesday, the 25th of October, and we are so pleased to have in our studio again, always pleased to have the leader of the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, in our studio, and we're also pleased to have a number of members of the press here with us. We appreciate all of you folks coming out. And we do have some questions from the press that I've been given, and we will ask them about that a little later. And also, as I mentioned earlier, there's going to be a panel discussion on these issues from 6 to 7 in the WVON Legacy Room, which all of you are invited to attend. So it's free, and you can come in and enjoy. We've got some great people that will be discussing this. But right now, we're going to go back to Brother Minister, who is going to tell us about some of the things that so many of us, some of the reasons, I should say, that so many of us had such great respect for Colonel Gaddafi.
First, Brother Cliff, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said when John Fitzgerald Kennedy was assassinated that there is no king, no ruler, no prophet who enjoys 100% the love of his people. That has never happened in these 6,000 years, and it certainly is not so in America, and it was not so in Libya. I never lived in Libya, so I don't know Libya like the Libyans know Libya. But I know something of the good of Moammar Gadhafi that made me to love him as a brother and to feel a great sense of loss at his assassination. Before I say to the public some of the things that Brother Gaddafi did that can be proved at no limit of time, I'd like to read to the public Brother Gaddafi's last will and testament that came out sometime yesterday. As you know, Brother Moammar Gadhafi was offered asylum in other countries. He refused to leave Libya. And as you know, he said he would be martyred in Libya. This is where he lived, this is where he would fight, and this is where he would die. So I'd like to read this will, and I want you to listen carefully to his words. He said, "This is my will. I, Moammar bin Muhammad bin Abdussalam bin Humaid bin Abu Manya bin Humaid bin Nail al-Fusi Gaddafi, do swear that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. Peace be upon him. I pledge that I will die as a Muslim." This was written on the 17th of October. He said, "Should I be killed, I would like to be buried according to Muslim rituals in the clothes I was wearing at the time of my death, but with my body unwashed in the cemetery of Sirte next to my family and relatives. I would like that my family, especially the women and children, to be treated well after my death. The Libyan people should protect its identity, achievements, history, and the honorable image of its ancestors and heroes. The Libyan people should not relinquish the sacrifices of the free and best people. I call on my supporters to continue the resistance and fight any foreign aggressor against Libya today, tomorrow, and always. Let the free people of the world know that I could have sold out our cause in return for a secure and stable personal life. I received many offers to this effect, but chose to be at the vanguard of the confrontation as a badge of duty and honor. Even if we do not win immediately, we will provide a lesson to future generations that choosing to protect the nation is an honor, and selling it out is the greatest betrayal that history will forever remember, however they try to portray this. This was the end of his will. He was killed in a military uniform. He wanted to be buried in the khaki clothes that he was wearing. And of course, you heard the news that they took his body out in the middle of the night. He and his son, Mutassim, who we have in a picture meeting with Hillary Clinton a year and a half ago and shaking hands with Secretary of State Clinton, which should show the world that shaking hands with your enemy and receiving a pat on the back from your enemy should never lull you to sleep that the enemy has changed. The enemy is the enemy. And when you fall asleep on that knowledge, that is when the enemy will take us out. The betrayals of his inner circle. Don't think that that is overseas. That is in our own house. And we today need to watch for those close around for signs of betrayal. Because it is written in the scriptures of the Bible that in the last days perilous times will come. And betrayal will be one of the marks of the end of the world, because people will feel that they'll be safer betraying a good cause, a just cause, to save their lives. Gaddafi died in honor, fighting for the Libya that he believed in. They would never have won if NATO was not bombing day in and day out. Brother Ali Baghdadi, that is a writer and a great Arab writer, said they bombed Libya back to the Stone Age. We were in Libya. We saw Libya being built from the ground up. We witnessed what this man did for the Libyan people. And for NATO to have bombed it like this, watch for Halliburton, watch for Bechtel, watch for the vultures of London, England, and France, and others trying to rebuild the infrastructure that they purposely destroyed, which is against international law. You went for humanitarian purposes, yet 50,000 Libyans lie dead because the West wanted access to the wealth of Libya. Now let me tell you what this man did. Did he kill people? Well, hell, did our president kill people? Talk back to me. Yes. You have made your president an assassin. That the only value that he has now is that he was responsible for the death of Osama bin Laden. He was captured without a weapon. He should have been brought to America, put on trial for the American people to see this man. But he was executed, so you will never know the real truth. Then Alaki, an American citizen who is against America's policies, a drone took him out and then came back later and killed his son. Now Moammar Gadhafi and his sons lie dead. Saddam Hussein and his sons lie dead. Well, what about your sons? They're dying in Iraq on the basis of a lie. They're dying in Afghanistan on the basis of a lie. And now drones are in Pakistan, drones in Somalia, drones in Yemen. When will it stop? America, do you think that you can get away with this? If it's time for another commercial, then you go on and take the commercial. I'm just warming up.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Brother Minister. Brother Minister, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is in our studio. And Cliff Kelley, stay with us.
You're watching The Media Connection, and we're joining WVON talk show host Cliff Kelley as he talks to Minister Louis Farrakhan about the killing of Colonel Moammar Gadhafi.
It wasn't any money that he loaned to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, or that he loaned to the Nation of Islam and forgave for $5 million that he loaned us, for you to think that I am that kind of prostitute, that I would give myself to any man for money. It's the principle that made me his brother. Now look at what this man did. After nationalizing the oil, he used the oil revenue to benefit the Libyan people, building schools, infrastructure, universities, hospitals. He raised the literacy rate from 20% when he became the leader, and at the time of his assassination, it is 83%. Libya has one of the finest healthcare systems in the third world. All people have access to doctors, hospitals, clinics, and medicines free of charge. If a Libyan needs surgery that is unavailable in Libya, funding is provided for the surgery to be carried out overseas. He raised the life expectancy of the Libyan people from 44 years, and now at the time of his assassination, 75 years of age. Basic food items were subsidized and electricity was made available throughout the country. Brother Moammar Gadhafi has set up huge irrigation projects which were established in order to support a drive toward agricultural development and food self-sufficiency. He spent $33 billion on the man-made river, where his engineers brought water up out of the desert, and now pipelines ran from Benghazi and Tobruk almost to the door of Tunisia. Any Libyan who wanted to become a farmer was and still is given free use of land, a house, farm equipment, livestock, and seed. Brother Moammar Gadhafi vowed that his own parents, who lived in a tent in the desert, would not be housed until every Libyan was housed. He fulfilled that promise. Under the revolutionary leadership of Moammar Gadhafi, Libya has now attained the highest standard of living in Africa. Money from Libya's oil revenue is directly deposited into the bank account of every Libyan. Women have full access to education, employment, and he has enabled women to serve in the armed forces. And this is most important. Gaddafi was the first and the only leader in the Arab world to formally apologize for the Arab role in the trade in captured Africans. Gaddafi acknowledged that the black Africans were the true owners of Libya and proclaimed in his Green Book, quote, "The black race shall prevail throughout the world." Now, Brother Gaddafi took oil money and started moving the Organization of African Unity toward the African Union, with a goal toward uniting 53, now 54 nations in Africa to the United States of Africa. Whenever we called Africa, our call had to go through Europe, and over $500 million went to Europe. But Gaddafi put up 400 million, and the rest of Africa put up 100 million and put up an African satellite. Now you can call directly to Africa from anywhere in the world without going through Europe. He asked the African nations to stop sending their raw materials to Europe to be made into products and then sent back to Africa to be paid for in an exorbitant price range. He wanted the Africans to take their raw materials and make them into products and then sell their products on the world market. This is the man that was assassinated, and I'll close this point. The minute he wanted Africa united, America, Britain, France, Germany, Europe was against it. So they set up NEPAD, a new economic development pact. Gaddafi was against it. Sarkozy came up with another plan to take all the North African nations that are Arab and unite them with the nations of Southern Europe. Gaddafi rejected that. America wanted to set up on the African continent African as a launching pad for the recolonization of Africa. Gaddafi was against that. I read an article by the Jewish man from a Zionist that was the former assistant to Rumsfeld. I can't call his name. Who?
Pearl?
No, not Pearl. Wolfowitz.
Wolfowitz, yeah.
Wolfowitz.
Hold your point, Minister. We got to go to the top of the hour break. That's the kind of information that I wanted you to give us.
You're watching The Media Connection, and now we're going to hear some candid words from Minister Louis Farrakhan as he speaks to the media and their role in exposing what he believes is the truth that is not being told. Let's join Cliff Kelley and Minister Louis Farrakhan.
This is a hell of a betrayal of the American people when you will not tell them the truth because you're afraid that if you tell the truth, your bosses will take your job from you. That's a hell of a thing. You don't have a democracy when you don't have a free press. You're all slaves, and you love it. So you deserve what you get, the erosion of your democracy. You'll soon be the laughing stock of the world. It's a damn shame. That's why the children are occupying space in New York, in Boston, in Washington, in Chicago, in San Francisco, and other cities. Why? Because they're not looking to you as a source of information for them. Look how long it took you all to talk about what was going on in New York. It took you 2 weeks because the same people that controlled the banks controlled the media.
Yes, sir. That's right.
You all know it,
Right.
but you're afraid to say it. But God put it on Farrakhan to say it for you.
Yes, sir.
And maybe one day you'll get some courage to stand up and give America free media, a real free fourth estate.
Yes.
But right now, you ain't even worth the time of day. You need somebody to tell the truth.
That's right.
You need somebody that's not afraid to die for the truth,
Yes,
that you could be made free.
That's right.
Because you're not free. And you don't really know what it means to really be a free white person, a free black person, a free Mexican, a free Arab. If you're afraid to tell the truth, what future does your children have in a society where truth is brushed to the curb? I thank God for the young man that invented this wonderful technology. Steve Jobs. That's the man that's freeing the whole planet. Where Zbigniew Brzezinski could say, yesterday it was easier to control 1 million people than to kill 1 million people. Then now he says it's easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people, because the genie is out of the box, the cat is out of the bag, the people all over the world are waking up. And you need to wake up and free America. Then you'll have a future and your children will have a future. But if you're afraid for what? You're going to die anyway. Where can you run to escape death? If you love America, then fight for America to be free.
You're watching The Media Connection, and we're at WVON Radio Station with Cliff Kelley as he talks to Minister Louis Farrakhan and his reaction to the killing of Colonel Moammar Gadhafi.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. We're back. This is the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. It's 5:08. I'm Cliff Kelley, and we're streaming live at www.wvon.com. And, of course, we are continuing with our in-studio guest, the illustrious Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the leader of the Nation of Islam, who's been giving us some great information. We're going to take some calls very shortly. But before we do that, I want to go back, Brother Minister, and again, thank you for being here with us. I want to go back to what you were saying at the top of the hour about Paul Wolfowitz.
Paul Wolfowitz wrote an article, I think it was in the New York Times, that an African Union or a United States of Africa would not be good for the future of Israel. Now, I don't know why he said that, but if the United States of Africa would not be good for Israel, and the United States of Africa would not be good for Europe and America, then this is more reason why Gaddafi had to be taken out. And just before Gaddafi was assassinated, they said that our president was sending 100 U.S. troops into Uganda to help President Museveni in his war against the Lord's Resistance Army. Then I heard that Kenya is moving its troops to the border of Somalia to fight against Al-Shabaab, which is the Islamist group that is fighting for governance, for the power of governance in Somalia. Now, today I read that the man who is over the National Transitional Council said, and I'm quoting now, that they're going to institute Sharia. And my God, did you kill Gaddafi to have someone now institute the very thing that you've been fighting against all over the world? And this man, after he has come into some degree of power, tells you that he's going to establish Sharia and the banks will not charge interest on money following Sharia? What have you gotten yourself into, America? And did you think that if you pull all of your troops out of Iraq, that that's the end of it? No. These people are angry and hurt over the way American soldiers did them, both in Iraq and in Afghanistan and in other parts of the world. Oh, America, America. You're blinded by your arrogance. You're blinded by your military power, and it's leading you step by step to your destruction.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Media Connection. Join us again next time as we continue the discussion with WVON talk show host Cliff Kelley and Nation of Islam leader Minister Louis Farrakhan about the killing of Colonel Moammar Gadhafi. Watch the Media Connection.